In 1996, McDonald's was trying to steal customers from TGI Fridays and Applebee's. The plan was simple: create a premium burger with peppered bacon, Dijonnaise, and a split-top bun that screamed adult sophistication. On paper, it actually worked. It didn't. The Arch Deluxe would be dead within 2 years. The problem wasn't execution. The problem was identity. McDonald's looked like a premium restaurant, but it was still McDonald's, and those two don't coexist. For a moment it worked. Not because adults suddenly craved fine dining under the golden arches, but because $100 million in advertising can make anything feel important. This isn't a story about bad burgers, it's a story about brand suicide. And once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Falling Food channel. After that, please leave a comment and let us know what other spectacular fast food failures you'd like to hear about. Okay, time to sink our teeth into McDonald's most expensive mistake. It all started with a problem that was keeping McDonald's executives awake at night in 1995. While they were selling billions of burgers to families and kids, a whole new category of restaurants was eating their lunch. Literally. Places like Applebee's, TGI Fridays, and Chili's were pulling in the exact customers McDonald's wanted. Adults with disposable income who were willing to pay $8 to $12 for a meal instead of $3 to $4. McDonald's was watching their market share erode in real time. The casual dining segment was growing at twice the rate of fast food, and internal surveys showed that adults without children were visiting McDonald's half as often as they had a decade earlier. The company that had dominated American dining for decades was suddenly facing an identity crisis. They were not just competing with Burger King and Wendy's anymore, they were competing with sit-down restaurants offering mozzarella sticks and mudslides. Enter Andrew Salvaggio, McDonald's executive chef. Yes, McDonald's had an executive chef. Salvaggio had spent years at fine dining establishments before joining the Golden Arches. And he was convinced that McDonald's could compete in the premium space. His vision was simple: create a burger that adults would order without feeling like they were settling for kids' food. Salvaggio wasn't working in a vacuum. McDonald's had assembled a dream team of food scientists, marketers, and restaurant consultants to crack what they saw as the adult market. They conducted hundreds of taste tests, focus groups, and market studies. The brief was clear: create something sophisticated that would make adults feel like McDonald's respected their palates. Salvaggio's weapon of choice was Dijonnaise, a mixture of Dijon mustard and mayonnaise that sounded fancy enough to justify a premium price. Add some peppered bacon, leaf lettuce instead of shredded tomato, red onion, and serve it all on a split-top potato bun that looked like something from a proper restaurant. The Arch Deluxe was born, and McDonald's executives were convinced they'd cracked the code. The name itself was carefully chosen after extensive market research. Arch connected it to the iconic McDonald's Golden Arches, while Deluxe signaled premium quality. Internal documents reveal they considered names like the Sophisticated, the Connoisseur, and even the Adult before landing on Arch Deluxe. It was meant to sound upscale without being intimidating, sophisticated but accessible. McDonald's didn't just throw this together over a weekend. They spent 2 years and an estimated $200 million to $300 million developing what they called the burger with the grown-up taste. Market testing in select cities showed promising results. Adults were actually ordering it, and some locations reported it becoming their second best seller after the Big Mac. The taste tests were particularly encouraging. In blind comparisons, consumers consistently rated the Arch Deluxe higher than both the Big Mac and Burger King's Whopper. The Dijonnaise sauce was a particular hit. People described it as sophisticated and restaurant quality. One internal memo from 1995 declared that they had finally created a burger that adults don't have to feel embarrassed ordering. Test markets in California, New York, and Illinois were seeing sales that exceeded projections by 15 to 20%. McDonald's executives were so confident that they fast-tracked the national rollout, bypassing some of their usual regional expansion phases. The company was betting big that America was ready for an adult McDonald's experience. But the real show was the advertising campaign. McDonald's launched the most expensive marketing push in their history, $100 million in advertising alone. The commercials were genius in their boldness. They showed kids taking a bite of the Arch Deluxe and making disgusted faces. The tagline was simple: "It's the burger that's just too grown up for kids." Ronald McDonald himself appeared in ads looking sophisticated, wearing a business suit instead of his usual outfit. These weren't just TV spots. McDonald's created an integrated campaign that included billboards, magazine spreads, radio spots, and even early internet advertising. One memorable print ad showed a businessman in a suit taking a bite of the Arch Deluxe with the caption, "When was the last time you did something just for yourself?" The subtext was clear: this isn't a happy meal, this is adult indulgence. The campaign was the brainchild of Fallon McElligott, the agency behind some of the most memorable advertising of the 1990s. Their approach was deliberately provocative. They wanted to create a clear separation between McDonald's family-friendly image and this new, sophisticated offering. Internal documents revealed they knew they were taking a risk by essentially telling children this isn't for you, but they believed the adult market was lucrative enough to justify potentially alienating younger customers. This wasn't just about burgers. The Arch Deluxe represented McDonald's attempt to ride the wave of 1990s sophistication. This was the era of Starbucks turning coffee into a lifestyle, when casual dining chains were exploding and when gourmet became the magic word that justified premium prices. The Arch Deluxe felt like McDonald's finally growing up with its baby boomer customers. The cultural context is important here. The mid-90s saw America embracing a new kind of aspirational consumerism. The economy was booming. Friends was on television showing young adults living impossibly nice lifestyles. And premium versions of everyday products were everywhere. Suddenly, you were not just buying coffee, you were buying a venti half-calf soy latte. You were not just eating a hamburger, you were having a gourmet beef experience. McDonald's was trying to tap into this premiumization trend that was transforming American consumption habits. By late 1996, some McDonald's locations were selling 2,000 to 3,000 Arch Deluxes per month. The burger was priced at $2.89, nearly double the cost of a regular hamburger, but people were paying it. McDonald's stock hit record highs, and industry analysts praised the company for premiumizing their brand. The Arch Deluxe was not just one burger either. It was a product line that included the Arch Deluxe with beef, the Arch Deluxe with chicken, the Arch Deluxe with fish, and even a breakfast version called the Arch Deluxe with bacon and egg. McDonald's was positioning the Arch Deluxe line as a new category within their menu, one that catered specifically to sophisticated adult tastes. However, success in test markets does not always translate to nationwide triumph. As the Arch Deluxe rolled out nationally, McDonald's discovered they had a fundamental problem. Their restaurants were not built for sophisticated dining experiences. The disconnect became painfully obvious. Adults walking into a McDonald's for a premium dining experience were still greeted by plastic booths, fluorescent lighting, and the unmistakable screams of children playing with Happy Meal toys. No amount of Dijonnaise could mask the fact that the environment itself undermined the premium positioning. McDonald's briefly considered redesigning their restaurants to accommodate both family dining and more adult-oriented spaces, but the cost estimates were astronomical, potentially billions of dollars across their franchise network. Internal memos reveal heated debates about whether such an investment would ever pay off. One executive reportedly asked whether they were a fast food restaurant or a casual dining chain, because they could not be both. First came the operational nightmare. The Arch Deluxe took significantly longer to prepare than a regular burger. Those split-top buns had to be toasted differently, the Dijonnaise required special handling, and the assembly was more complex. Drive-through times, McDonald's secret weapon, started increasing. McDonald's had built an empire on efficiency. Their entire business model depended on serving consistent food quickly. The average McDonald's was designed to assemble a basic hamburger in under 45 seconds. The Arch Deluxe required nearly twice as long. In the fast food world, those extra seconds translated directly to reduced throughput, longer lines, and ultimately lost sales. Second was the price point paradox. Adults who wanted a $3 burger went to McDonald's. Adults who wanted a $6 to $8 burger went to Applebee's, where they got table service, a full menu, and atmosphere. The Arch Deluxe existed in a no man's land between fast food and casual dining. Marketing research showed that consumers had very clear price expectations tied to specific dining environments. They were willing to pay premium prices, but only when the total experience justified it. The Arch Deluxe asked customers to pay casual dining prices for a fast food environment, a disconnect that proved hard to overcome. Third came the confusion. McDonald's had spent decades training Americans that they were the place for quick, cheap, family-friendly meals. Suddenly asking people to think of McDonald's as sophisticated was like asking them to consider Walmart as luxury retail. Brand positioning is not just about what a company says about itself, it is about the associations that exist in consumers' minds. By 1996, McDonald's had served over 100 billion hamburgers and invested billions in marketing that positioned them as the quintessential family-friendly fast food restaurant. Trying to suddenly pivot to sophisticated adult dining destination created cognitive dissonance for customers. By 1997, the writing was on the wall. Despite the massive marketing spend, Arch Deluxe sales were falling far short of projections. Most locations were selling fewer than 500 per month, not nearly enough to justify the operational complexity or marketing investment. The sales data told a grim story. After an initial surge of curiosity purchases, repeat business was abysmal. One internal study found that fewer than 10% of Arch Deluxe buyers returned to purchase it a second time. The novelty factor had driven initial sales, but the product was not creating loyalty or changing perceptions about McDonald's as a dining destination. McDonald's had projected the Arch Deluxe would generate at least $1 billion in annual sales. By mid-1997, it was on track to deliver less than a quarter of that figure. The company that had built its empire on ruthless efficiency was watching millions evaporate on a failed experiment in brand extension. But the real problem was not just poor sales, it was customer alienation. McDonald's core demographic felt abandoned. Parents were confused by advertising that seemed to mock their children. Value-conscious consumers were put off by the premium pricing. And sophisticated adults, they still were not buying the idea that McDonald's could be their upscale dining destination. The advertising that had seemed clever in concept was backfiring in execution. Showing children being disgusted by the Arch Deluxe did not endear the product to parents, who still made most household dining decisions. A marketing post-mortem noted that the company had inadvertently created advertising that made core customers feel excluded rather than special. By 1998, McDonald's franchisees were openly staging a revolt against the Arch Deluxe. The burger required additional training for staff, special equipment for the Dijonnaise, and separate inventory management for the premium ingredients. Many franchise owners reported that the increased operational costs were not offset by the higher margin per burger because sales volumes were so low. Franchisee relations hit a breaking point at the 1998 McDonald's Worldwide Convention in Orlando. During what was supposed to be a celebratory event, franchise owners staged what amounted to an intervention, presenting executives with data showing the Arch Deluxe was actively harming their businesses by slowing down kitchen operations and confusing customers. McDonald's never officially announced the death of the Arch Deluxe. Instead, they quietly stopped advertising it in 1998. By 2000, it had disappeared from most menus entirely, though a few locations continued offering it as a secret menu item for customers who specifically requested it. The whole experiment had cost an estimated $150 to $200 million in development and marketing, money that was never recovered. The company tried to save face by claiming the product had completed its life cycle, but industry insiders knew the truth. The Arch Deluxe represented one of the most costly product failures in fast food history. McDonald's had bet big on changing their identity, and they had lost. The Arch Deluxe failure sent shockwaves through the fast food industry. Burger King scrapped plans for their own premium burger line. Wendy's backed away from upscale marketing. For nearly a decade, major chains avoided any hint of sophistication in their branding and instead doubled down on value and speed. The industry had learned a valuable lesson. Brand extension has limits. You can stretch a brand into adjacent territories, but attempting to leap into completely different market positions usually ends in disaster. Fast food chains realized their strength was in consistent, affordable food delivered quickly, not in competing with casual dining restaurants. Interestingly, some elements of the Arch Deluxe live on today. That Dijonnaise sauce evolved into various special sauce formulations used in limited time offerings. The split-top bun approach influenced later premium burger designs. And the lesson about adult-focused advertising can be seen in how McDonald's carefully positions their coffee and salad marketing today. McDonald's learned from this expensive mistake. Instead of fighting their identity, they embraced it. The late 1990s and the 2000s saw them focus on what they did best: fast, inexpensive, consistent food. The introduction of all-day breakfast, the emphasis on speed of service, and the "I'm loving it" campaign all reflected a company that had rediscovered its core mission. The Arch Deluxe represents a classic case of brand overreach, the dangerous moment when a successful company decides its identity is a limitation rather than an advantage. It is the same mistake that led to New Coke, Crystal Pepsi, and countless other corporate disasters where companies forgot what made them successful in the first place. In business school case studies, the Arch Deluxe is now taught as a textbook example of what happens when a company tries to be something it is not. The lesson is not that brands cannot evolve, it is that evolution must respect the core identity that customers already understand and appreciate. Perhaps the most telling epilogue to this story came in 2018, when McDonald's quietly tested a fresh beef burger called the Arch Burger in select markets. The nod to the Arch Deluxe was obvious, but this time McDonald's positioned it as a better version of what they already offered, not as an attempt to become a different kind of restaurant. It was a humble acknowledgement that the original concept was not wrong, only the execution and positioning. So, what do you think? Did you ever try the Arch Deluxe back in the day? And more importantly, have you noticed other brands making this same mistake of fighting their own identity? Let us know in the comments below. And while you are at it, check out some of these other videos about spectacular fast food failures from Weird History Food.